The West Ham Massive are pleased to support Iron Supporting Food Banks. They are a group of West Ham fans and friends inspired by the work of other football food banks around the country. They collect food and cash donations for a Newham Food Bank in Beckton, who supply sub-distribution centres in the borough 7 days a week and hand out several hundred 3-day emergency food packs every month to families in need. They are also working with other groups to improve conditions for vulnerable adults and children in the Newham community. You can help by making a donation to their Just Giving page. You will find the link to this in the description section of the video details in this stream. Thanks for your support. Come on, you Irons.
Good evening. Welcome once more to the West Ham Massive and a happy new year to you. I hope you all didn't get too inebriated and you enjoyed it. So anyway, a little bit earlier than we was expecting, and do excuse my dog, who's just as I've hit record has started barking for no apparent reason. Anyway, we'll edit that bit out. Don't worry. Please don't forget to like, comment on, and share this stream to your social media platforms. Subscribe to our YouTube channel if you haven't done so already. Make sure you hit the bell icon for alerts and new content. Don't forget to click all. And as always, ladies and gentlemen, we thank you very much indeed for your support in this particular endeavor. Please also remember that if adult language should offend you, this might not be the place for you. I'm going to be me, and if the odd swear word comes out, then it is what it is. Please don't be offended by it, and if it is offended, just let yourself out. Please just take yourself off. Much easier for all concerned. If you're still watching this, then I'm guessing you don't care about the odd little curse word that comes out, so we'll continue to discuss Premier League Matchday 20 of 38. West Ham United face Brighton and Hove Albion at the London Stadium tomorrow evening. Keep an eye on the ticker at the bottom. It will intermittently change with various pieces of information, such as that, the match officials for tomorrow's game at the London Stadium. So, right, let's just add that to the screen, and I'll just do this as I go along. I'd like a little bit of audience participation, please, because obviously I'm here on my own tonight, so it would make it much easier if you guys get all your comments in to the comments section. I'm just going to have a little cough to myself. Kent is in. How are you doing, Kent? Hope you are well. Have a good, happy new year. Evening, Rob. 2-2 for me tomorrow. Tough game. If we had kudos, I'd go for a win. Serif says, good evening, Rob. Happy new year, mate, to you and your family. Likewise. Charlie says, nah, we want to watch you flap. That happens quite regularly, whether anyone's here in opposite me or not. So don't worry about that. Hayden, Stephen, hope you are well and a happy new year to you also. Right, okay, let's get stuck into this then, shall we? So, West Ham United, Brighton and Hove Albion tomorrow. There it is. It's a 7:30 kickoff, as we say. So, thoughts on the opposition this season? I think that they're one of the best, possibly in actual fact, they are the best run football club in the Premier League, in my opinion, as far as off the field is concerned. I think that for a club of their stature a couple of years ago, don't forget, they were playing their home games. The Goldstone ground, for those of you that are old enough to remember it, was sold. I think they built a Tesco's on it or something like that. They then had to play their home games for a couple of seasons at Gillingham, Priestfield, which is not a million miles away from where I live, just a short way down the M2. Do excuse me. So they played their home games there for a little bit, which is actually, if as the crow flies, it's a good journey, there and back. Brighton to Gillingham and back, not a nice journey. And then obviously they then played their home games for a period of time at what is essentially an athletics track, which I believe was something to do with the University of Sussex from memory. So for a long time, they led this sort of hand-to-mouth existence. and things were looking pretty bleak. They then got the planning permission for the Amex Stadium in Falmer. And from then they've gone from strength to strength, and they now find themselves a Premier League club, and they've punched well above their weight for a number of years. In terms of what they've sort of done in the Premier League, and also don't forget they're actually in the Europa League as well, same competition that we're in, and they've qualified as group winners as well. So, and there they are. They're still sort of like the upper reaches of, excuse me, the Premier League, and they're doing sensationally well. They get players in who do a job for them. They've got a sort of like players at sort of two ends of the spectrum, as far as I can make out. They'll get players that have done a job at other clubs, and they're probably sort of like coming down the other side of the hill, but they've still got a little bit of fire in their belly. They've still got something to offer, the likes of the Danny Welbecks, the James Milners, the Adam Lallanas. Previously, they had Glenn Murray as well, who was another one. Players that had been around the block a little bit, knew what it took to get through a Premier League season. They also had players that they brought in, players probably that a lot of people would probably never heard of, and they've sort of like they've turned them into players who the bigger boys have looked at. And just to reference a few, for example, Mark Cucurella, who went to Chelsea. Who was the other guy that went to Chelsea? Moises Caicedo, another one, £115 million player. So they've done really well in terms of the results they've kicked out this season. Well, whilst we were beating Arsenal the other night, they were actually doing the same thing to their North London rivals, Tottenham. They raced into a 4-goal lead, ended up finishing 4-2. So my thoughts on the opposition this season: they're a well-run club. They play a good brand of football, I believe, when I've watched them. Fast-paced, on the front foot. Roberto De Zerbi was not a manager that I'd heard of, I have to be honest. But he's come in, he's done well. He's taken them on a level from where Graham Potter got them to. And I thought Graham Potter did a good job for them, to be fair, but he's managed to find another gear that the European football so far doesn't seem to have affected them negatively in the Premier League. If we look at the record there, the head-to-head, I think we probably are well aware of it. We've only won the one game against them in Premier League history. However, that was actually our last meeting, which was down at Falmer earlier this season. As it says there on the ticker, coincidentally. I don't just throw these things together. But yeah, I mean, look, we went there. I thought we played really well. I got to be honest. I thought we got 3 good goals. And it was counter-attacking football. I think they had about 75% of the possession from memory. But it was a game. I mean, Bowen got 1 goal. I believe it was assisted by Ben Rama. It was probably the one positive contribution he's made this season, really, when you think about it. But yeah, I like them as a club. I like their style of football. They're well run. Good things, I think it has to be said. They've got a bit of an injury record, so a bit of an injury list at the minute. So before I get on to the next question, I am going to reference their current problems if you're not aware of them. So first things first. Now, the next question would be, who do I class as their key player? Now, this guy that I'm about to mention, who isn't going to play tomorrow because of a suspension, he picked up his 5th booking of the season against Tottenham, was Lewis Dunk. Lewis Dunk is a player that's been at Brighton for many years. He's a stalwart. He's a part of the furniture. And unfortunately for Brighton, fortunately for us, he won't be involved tomorrow because of the 5th booking that he's picked up against Tottenham for a challenge on Dejan Kulusevski. He is joined on the not available list by Joel Veltman, Ansu Fati, Julio Enciso, Karim Mitoma, who was another danger man that I would have mentioned if he'd have been available. Simon Andingra, Solly March, Adam Webster, and Tariq Lamptey. And it also looks like Igor and Facundo Buonanotte will be doubts. So, we'll wait and see on that. As far as our injury list, whilst I'll just sort of get on it, or a player's unavailable, let's just sort of get this, because there's a bit of an elephant in the room, obviously. There was some talk about, Kudus might be available for the Brighton game. Chris Hughton, who is, a lot of people have sort of said, he's a former Brighton manager, isn't he? Well, he also played for West Ham as well. So, and the way I look at it, we knew that Kudus was a Ghanaian international when we bought him. We know that the AFCON is every 2 years. We know that it's in January. We know that there are dates by which we have to release players by. And we also know that the broadcast companies, who, let's be real, pay the Premier League clubs an awful lot of money. So they can then sort of say, okay, well, we've paid you a lot of money, but we reserve the right to move fixtures around as we see fit within reason. And they've obviously moved it to this fixture to the date that it is tomorrow, which is obviously past the cut-off date for the players to be released for the AFCON. So Chris Hughton's turned around and said, his problem's not West Ham. It just isn't. His problem's Ghana, and that's fair enough. And he's turned around and said, I want the player here. So we've had to release him. So Kudus isn't going to be involved tomorrow. That's done. Kurt Zuma's a doubt. Naya Fagerd, I'm not quite sure what's going on there. To be honest, the Naya Fagerd situation is a little bit of a weird one. I'm not quite sure what's bubbling away in the background there. Michael Antonio, who was only going to be out for a fortnight, he looks like he's still going to be out, and I believe Lucas Paquetá is not going to be involved. So the injury lists, or the unavailable list for Brighton's quite significant. For us, it's less so, but they're players that are quite important to us that are going to be missing for the game tomorrow. So anyway, so that's that. So let's also get into the opposition's key players. So obviously, as I say, I've mentioned the players that are not going to be involved tomorrow for Brighton. So I'm going to sort of like have a little look and pick out a player that I think is probably going to be quite important. And I'm going to pick out Pascal Gross, player that I've been a little, I wouldn't say a sort of like a player that I necessarily have been beating the drum for and hoping that West Ham are going to sort of go out and buy anytime soon. But a player that when I've seen him play, I think he's always looked very useful, good passer of the ball. I think there's a slide later on where he's got the most amount of assists between the two clubs that will be taking place at London Stadium tomorrow. I'm sure he's involved in the assist stats somewhere. A player that I've always sort of like rated, to be fair. So I think he could be a player that's going to be sort of heavily involved. Billy Gilmore, another player that I've watched in the past and been quite impressed with. Young Scottish international, exciting player, I think, from his time in Chelsea. I remember watching him. So I think they're going to be two players that are going to be heavily involved tomorrow night. Get your comments in, and I'll sort of like roll through it in due course. I'm just going to rattle through the questions just real quick. I do apologise for my voice, and I've got a bit of a cough. I'm feeling a little bit under the weather, but it is what it is. Which West Ham player will be the key to a positive result? I think for me, it's got to be Jared Bowen. If you sort of work out that there's no Kudus, there's no Paquetá, I think the offensive detail is going to fall. It has to fall on the shoulders of Jared Bowen. That's where the buck's going to stop offensively. It will be interesting to see whether Zuma's available, because I think if Zuma's available, it'll probably be a Bonner that drops out. I think it will be Mavropanos that retains his place from the match at the Emirates the other night. I wouldn't be too averse to Ogbonna being involved. I thought he put in a sensational performance the other night against the Arsenal, but I think that for this, I think we're probably going to need to have our captain available. If you look there at the form guide, however, tends to favour us. We've obviously in the last 5, we've got 4 wins and 1 defeat. They've got 2 wins, 2 draws, 1 defeat in that 5. So, yeah, I mean, look, form-wise, you look at it and you go, oh, hello. But like I say, you do have to factor in we're missing a couple of key players. But like I say, with Kudus, I'm like, look, we knew he was going to go. We knew what the crack was, and we just got to get on with it as far as I'm concerned. Starting 11. Again, I'm going to go with what I what I believe I would go with. Whether it's what David Moyes will go with, we're going to find out at 6:30 tomorrow. So I don't think he can change the goalkeeper. I thought he was absolutely brilliant. In my opinion, he was the man of the match against Arsenal. So I think you're going to have to go with Areola. Right back, like I say, I probably wouldn't make too many changes at the back. Kufel and Emerson, the fullbacks, right and left. I think I would keep Mavropanos. I think his confidence is going to be high after the goal against his old club Arsenal. The question's going to be for me, if Kurt Zuma's fit, I think I would be plopping him in alongside Mavropanos and dropping Ogbonna to the bench. But if Zuma's not ready, if he's not available, then that's fine, not a problem. Ogbonna, I've got a great deal of confidence in after his showing against Arsenal. But that's if we get that version of Ogbonna in that game against Brighton, rather than the version that we'd seen in previous games where he's looked a little bit suspect. So hopefully we get that version of Ogbonna again. If we move into midfield, Edson Alvarez, again, absolute must. Sensational performance against Arsenal. James Ward-Prowse, no problem. Thomas Souček, yep, fine, not a problem. That's your midfield three. If you move forwards, that's where we the other sort of like places, the two players we know that are going to be missing, Kudus and Paquetá. Who do you replace them with? Do you go with Benrahma? Now, Benrahma, I thought worked hard against Arsenal. Quality just wasn't there. And the penalty that he had saved by David Raya, I mean, it was inconsequential to the result. I get that. But I think that if Benrahma stepped up with any sort of confidence, Benrahma buries that. Benrahma didn't step up with any sort of confidence. So as far as, that was concerned, it took care of itself. The penalty was not really the best in the world. It was too close to the goalkeeper. He made the save. Job done. I suppose, you could turn around and say, well, you could go with Pablo Fornals. Again, there's a player that looks like his confidence is just absolutely smashed to pieces. You could turn around and say Maxwell Cornet. Let's be real. I think we know that David Moyes just isn't going to. So I think we can probably just sort of say the best chance he's got is on the bench. But even then, he might not even make the squad. Really strange one. Don't know what's gone on there. I've heard stories about David Moyes has sort of lost interest with him because he went back to France for his injury rehab when he had the injury last season. But I don't know. I think maybe there's a bit more to it than that. But who knows? Who knows what goes on? So the question is, who do we go? I think he probably will go Benrahma. I think because he had that game against Arsenal, maybe he'll sort of think to try and sort of keep a little bit of the momentum going, sort of ease him in, whatever. I don't know. Benrahma would be one name. It could be Fornals. I mean, it's pays your money, takes your choice. Question is, who's usually going to play as the striker or right winger? I mean, like I say, it could be that Bowen's playing as the striker. I don't know. But I've got a suspicion it will probably be, regrettably, it will be Danny Ings. I'd like to think it's going to be Mubama. Don't think it will be. So I think it's probably going to be Danny Ings. But we'll wait and see. But if it was me, and as I say, the question is, what would be my starting 11? I would probably go Benrahma left. I'd go Bowen right, and I'd go Mubama through the middle. Actually, no, tell a lie. I would go Cornet, but I know that Moyes won't. I would go Cornet because I just think he adds that little bit of extra pace, a little bit of extra zip that I think we could possibly need. So as I say, the question being, what would be my starting 11? That would be it. It would be Cornet left. It would be Bowen right. It would be Mubama through the middle. But do I think the Moyes is going to go with that? Not really. But get your 11s in. What's my score prediction? Oh wow! I mean, this is a real tough one. The loss of those players really does make it difficult. The loss of those players does make it more difficult than it otherwise would have been, clearly. Brighton haven't kept a clean sheet in the Premier League all season. That's the one thing that does give me a little bit of optimism, because they've not gone this season in the Premier League and kept a shutout. And I don't see that they're going to tomorrow, to be perfectly honest with you. I do see that we've got a goal in us. Question is that going to be enough? I think Brighton's got enough to score a goal themselves. I'm going for a 1-1. I think it could be a 1-1 draw. I think if we'd have had Paquetá and Kudus available to us, I think it leans towards a home win for me. But I think that those two players being out could be key. But then again, having said that, like I say, they've got an awful lot of players out themselves. Just to reel them off again. And Dingra, Fatty, Enciso, Veltman, Pitoma, Webster, Lamptey, March, Dunk, Igor, and Buonanotte all out, or the last two doubtful, right? All out for either injuries or, in the case of Lewis Dunk, suspension. So they actually, when you sort of look at it, you go, actually, they've got a little bit of an injury hit or an absentee squad themselves that they've got to deal with. Right. I am just going to whiz through and have a quick little look at some of the comments that you've been chipping in. Happy New Year to you, Rob. Love watching them. Great pass and move side. Absolutely, Ken. And a Happy New Year to you. Hope you can get another win. Be tough game. Shame we've not got Kudus and Paquetá. Absolutely. Wolfie, thanks for joining us, mate. Liverpool getting ridiculous amounts of shots against Newcastle. Still can't score. Sounds a bit like the other night. Arsenal looked slow and exhausted a lot of the match. I think the fixture congestion has actually helped us, especially with very small injuries. Dunk played in League One for them. That's how long he's been there. Yeah, he's been there a while, mate. He has been there a good while. Eastside, hope you're well, mate. Happy New Year. I can't see us winning this. We'll look light up front without Kudus and Paquetá. Yep, you can't trust Fornals and Ben Rama. I'd start Cornet and Obama. Oh, you agree with me then? But yeah, he probably will play Ings. You're right. I've just got this funny feeling it will be Ings and Fornals / Ben Rama. I would go Cornet and Mubama, but I can't see that Moyes will go with that. We'll be so much weaker without Kudus and Paquetá. Absolutely. I've already written, oh no, don't do that. Brighton have players who can come in and perform. We don't. But they've, like I say, mate, they have got a lot of players out. A lot of players. A little worried as Kudus saved us so many games and packed with a lot of assists for the last few. Going to need some luck. Don't really have anything going forward with them two gone. As I say, mate, they've got a lot of players out. Let's remember that. Just hope for the best. Tomorrow's a write-off for me. Well, we'll wait and see. Evan Ferguson says Kent Hammers, key player if fit. Yeah, I mean he's a player that I've liked the look of. Young, he's well, let's be honest. If he was at West Ham, he wouldn't have got his opportunity, would he? I think we know that, unless his name was Wayne Rooney, and even that was he was pushed to do it. We're not doomed, East Side. We're not doomed. We're going to need Brighton to be poor. Don't know. Cornet needs to start with his pace. Absolutely, mate. I'm with you there. I forgot, are you Moyes in, Moyes out? Don't care. No, he's out. He's definitely out, and he confirms that there. Will Cornet get on the bench? Even tomorrow, we need to use him. I wouldn't be shocked if he didn't, mate. I mean, I think he should start, but I wouldn't be shocked if he's not even in the squad, and there's no real explanation given. Ben Rama is off to Lyon. Yeah, wow. Wouldn't surprise me, mate. Yeah, that's me as well. Willing to see it out to the rest of the season. Most important thing for me is to just keep European football for the next manager. I don't think Moyes is going anywhere, mate. The more noises I'm hearing about it, I think the 2.5 years, I wouldn't be shocked. I really wouldn't. Contract call should be just going now. If things go downhill, we'll wait and see. It's strange how many mood swings channels have. They go from Moyes must go after his auto antics and line up against Fulham and Liverpool, and Moyes in. We must keep him and respect him. I mean, look, it's a difficult one because I suppose all the time he's winning games, they're not going to pull the trigger on him now. I've kind of resigned myself that they're going to offer him a 2.5 year contract, and I'm conflicted because the football is difficult to watch, and I'm being very kind there. The football is a real tough watch sometimes. But it's kind of difficult that when you're in 6th place in the Premier League and last 16 of the Europa League, so the club itself is doing well. So I'm conflicted. I really am. I hate the fact that he doesn't use the youth. I'm not in love with the football. I think that the building of the squad that he's been in the club for 4 years, and the fact that we've got a bench that he doesn't trust, that's patently on him. So there's a lot of reasons why I would say actually I think he needs to sort of be thanked for his service and wave the cheery fuckety bye. But the truth of the matter is that if we finish the season in 6th and we get European football, do you think that's going to happen? Because I don't. I think they're going to hand him a new contract. I don't want it, but there you go. Benny hasn't been picked for us. No. Don't want to see him in a West Ham or Algeria shirt again. He's finished. Yeah, his confidence has gone, mate. I'm interested to see where you would stand on Moyes. I think I've just told you. Would you like him to just see out the season or leave, or rather give him an extra contract? I'd rather him go. The divide in this fan base is crazy. I'm in the former camp. In an ideal situation, I think he's earned the right to see out the season. I mean, obviously, he had that stint earlier in the season where we were getting defeats, sort of a little run of defeats, and it was looking a bit tough for him. You're not going to sack a manager who's got 4 wins in his last 5 Premier League games, 6th in the Premier League, last 16 of the Europa League. They're not going to sack him. I've resigned myself to that fact. I've resigned myself to the fact that I'm going to watch football that at times will make me want to pull my eyes out of their sockets and stamp on them. I've resigned myself to the fact that we're not going to see the youth coming through into the first team. I've resigned myself to the fact that, we're going to have a player in the midfield who will score the odd goal and the rest of the time will be a passenger in the middle of the park. As far as his passing game's concerned. But as I say, I find it very difficult to sort of make a case when we're doing so well. But I think in an ideal world, I'd like to give him the rest of the season and say thanks very much. But we're just going to try something else. I don't know. I don't think it'll happen. I think they're going to hand him a new contract, but it is what it is. Yes, as I say, we've we can cause some problems with set plays. We absolutely can. Draw would be fine. Keep us in the top 6. I'd rather us win and finally create a small gap. Yep. Stephen says, I reckon JWP is key tomorrow along with Areola. Yeah, Ben went with Areola before the Arsenal game. I do agree with you both. Has to finally be Cornet's fuck Ings. I think we're going to put out a pony team on Sunday also, which will make me fume. Not good. Did you start early? I did, Sean. I did. Basically, I just wanted to get cracking and sort of get this out of the way and get my evening started. So, yeah, it is what it is. It's tactics, subs, calling out the fans consistently that bothers me. Yeah. Like I say, the football's tough to watch. Like I say, the subs, I mean, it's actually now become the non-use of subs. I mean, it used to be that the substitutions would be the same subs around the 70th minute. Now that's even stopped. Now it's even getting to the point where, I mean, look at it this way. He made 1 substitution against Arsenal, and that wasn't a tactical substitution. That was forced on him because of the injury to Paquetá. So if Paquetá hadn't have got injured, I wouldn't have been shocked if we'd have completed the 90 minutes. No substitutes. Wouldn't have shocked me. Gary, hope you're well, mate. It's not Anne. Dinosaur out. I think we all know where he stands. I feel with the quality we have, we can enjoy the football and still be around the same position every season. I agree, though. I'd let him end the season. Moyes should have been sacked for what he did at Liverpool. I wasn't very happy myself, I got to say. I was faffing around waiting till 9 p.m. Should have just had the link open. You live and learn, Sean. You live and learn. As I say, I'd scheduled it for 9 things changed, and then I just went, fuck it, I'm just going to go. Thank you for the show, though, Rob. Hope you had a good night and we can get something against Brighton. Wolfie, you are more than welcome, and thank you for coming along. Right, I think I am going to knock it on the head there, guys. We've had a little bit of back and forth. I've obviously got the main points out of the way about the two teams that are going to take to the field tomorrow. Yeah, I mean, like I say, I'm thinking it's a 1-1 draw. As I say, the misses that we've got are going to be significant. But then again, it shouldn't be it shouldn't be neglected the fact that they actually have quite a big injury list. They've got Lewis Dunk, their main sort of like their leader, their captain, out with a suspension. So he's going to be a big miss. So there's both teams are up against it. Both teams have got problems, but I don't really care about their problems. It's much more West Ham that I worry. If we win tomorrow, we'll be the only team with 4 wins over Chris. That's a good point. That's a good point. I'm more fearful of tomorrow than I was for the Arsenal game. It's going to be tough. Well, I'm going there tomorrow, mate. I'll be there. Hopefully the weather's better than it is now. It's pissing down with rain here. But if you're watching this after the facts, put your comments in below. Other than that, guys, thanks for joining us. Please don't forget to like, comment on, and share this stream to your social media platforms. Subscribe to our YouTube channel if you haven't done so already. Hit the bell icon for alerts of new content. As always, ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much indeed for your support in this matter. And I'd also like to wish you and your families a very happy new year. I'm going to disappear. Please don't forget to give your support to the Iron Supporting Food Banks charity. And we will see you next time. Come on, you Irons. Stay safe.
The West Ham Massive are pleased to support Iron Supporting Food Banks. They are a group of West Ham fans and friends inspired by the work of other football food banks around the country. They collect food and cash donations for a Newham food bank in Beckton, who supplies sub-distribution centres in the borough 7 days a week and hand out several hundred 3-day emergency food packs every month to families in need. They are also working with other groups to improve conditions for vulnerable adults and children in the Newham community. You can help by making a donation to their Just Giving page. You will find the link to this in the description section of the video details in this stream. Thanks for your support. Come on, you Irons.